Coming up on Mountain News this morning, President Joe Biden calls for a temporary pause on federal and state gas taxes. And a bridge here in our region now holds a bit more significance after being named after a sheriff who lost his life in the line of duty.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Keaton Hall. The time is just before 6 a.m. Dakota, he's on the evenings, you might have noticed, but we have Brandon Robinson with us, so let's go over there and look at the weather.
Back and ready for action this morning, Keith, but there is no action to be had this morning. A little bit of fog out there, but the rain kind of wrapped up last night. A lot of folks who messaged me on Facebook asking questions, I hadn't looked at a model in about 2 days, so I'm sorry I didn't get back to you till this morning, but I really didn't know what I could have told you last night. Thankfully, storms weren't too bad as we headed into the forecast. Let's take a look and see what's going on this morning. As we said, it's the fog, zero visibility at Moorhead and Logan this morning, 5 miles at Monticello. So continue to be careful out there. Patchy, dense fog in spots, and it's floating around this morning, so just be aware of that. Mountain Parkway up near the Wolf-Powell County line near Slade, not looking too bad this morning, but maybe just a little bit of clouds or a little bit of fog. Down to 63 now in Clintwood, 73 in Somerset. That is our range this morning, but a lot of folks in the mid to upper 60s, close to 70 this morning. 60s, basically 66 to about 69 is a popular temperature out there, temperature range anyway. 86 is the forecast, but we're starting off a little bit sunnier than I expected, so we could get to 88 or 89 today. The average is 84, but the record, and this is why it's been real hot, why we're not breaking records, because we're now in summertime and the records are higher. 96 is the record at Jackson for today, set back on this day in 1988. Keaton?
Thank you, Brandon. The Kentucky Association of School Resource Officers is hosting a two-day conference in Richmond. It comes as the state passed a law requiring all schools to have SROs by August 1st. But Grayson Passmore reports the group is concerned districts won't be able to meet that deadline.
I was questioning my faith for the first time, and the priest calls me down. He said, "Frank, you should have died that day, but God's got a plan now. You need to go help these other communities."
That's why a retired principal, Frank DeAngelis, is speaking in Richmond, Kentucky. 23 years after 12 of his students and one of his teachers were killed.
My kids were in trouble. I had about 25 girls that were coming out of the locker room to go to a physical education class, and they were right in the crossfire.
On April 20th, 1999, DeAngelis stood in a hallway at Columbine High School between a gunman and students.
But I knew if I got the girls in the gymnasium, there would be access outside. Well, everything was going as planned until I pull on the door, and it's locked. And all of a sudden, the gunman's coming around the corner, and I reached in my pocket, and I had 30 keys on a key ring. First key, I stuck in and opened it on the first try, or I wouldn't be here.
We're here today to speak on safety protocols.
There were lessons learned from Columbine, and we actually did have a school resource officer exchanging gunfire, but the protocol at the time was secure the perimeter.
DeAngelis says protocols changed after Columbine, but as more news comes out of Uvalde, it's clear mistakes are still being made.
Most of these events are over within 5 minutes, and so unfortunately it seems that we need to learn from the lessons.
Speaking in front of a crowd of a few hundred Kentucky SROs and school administrators, DeAngelis says SROs can be vital in schools.
We do so much more on the front end, and working together with the administrators, we just make the campus a much safer place.
Kentucky Association of SROs President James Pointer says new legislation that requires an armed SRO on every school campus is a step in the right direction of school safety.
If we start with the kids, I think we're all going to be better off.
In Richmond, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
Yesterday, U.S. senators said they've reached a bipartisan agreement on gun control, including closing some loopholes in current gun laws. On Wednesday, President Joe Biden called to suspend federal gas tax through the summer. The move still needs to make it through Congress, but it would save Americans 18 cents a gallon on gas and 24 cents on diesel. President Biden also called on the states to lower their gas taxes, but even that would only save drivers a few dollars a fill-up. Those with AAA say there are some ways you can improve your gas mileage right now.
Keep your vehicle well maintained. That'll help you get the best gas mileage. And so make sure, some things you can do yourself. Make sure you have the proper tire pressure. Check that every week or at least every other week.
Governor Andy Beshear froze Kentucky's gas tax earlier this month, stopping a 2-cent price hike from setting in July 1st. A full tank of gas will take you anywhere from 200 to 400 miles, depending on your car or truck. Now some Kentuckians are staying closer to home when they go on vacation. WYMT's Zach Hawk has more.
At the mouth of the Laurel, Dania Egedy operates the Cumberland Star Riverboat, just as her father did for decades before her.
We do everything from the really exciting, like whitewater rafting, to really pretty easy, like the Cumberland Star Riverboat. We do sightseeing cruises on it where you just sit back and relax, and then a lot of things in between.
Egedy says they typically book travelers from out of state, but with inflation shrinking family budgets, she says that trend is looking very different this year.
We're starting to see more and more local people as well, people that always say, gosh, I've lived here my entire life and I didn't even know that you guys were in the area. And so they're just starting to explore their own area and really appreciate why everyone else keeps coming to this area.
Director of the Corbin Tourism and Convention Commission, Maggie Monholland, says a decent spring season could shift to a booming summer.
Just the fact that we are affordable and centrally located, I think that's really going to help from an inflation standpoint.
Her team will be looking at the latest data on how to draw travelers to the region as the economy changes. Egedy says wherever people come from, Sheltowee Trace Adventure Resort is ready and fully staffed despite industry hiring struggles.
We haven't had as many customers as we were expecting, so we're really looking forward to a great summer season, and we hope that we start to see more people coming in.
Tourism officials say the next big weekend for the region is the 4th of July holiday, as they look to start the summer with a bang. In Whitley County, Zach Hawk, WYMT Mountain News.
The 4th of July celebration in Corbin will actually be held on the 3rd this year. Tourism officials said there will be live music and a fireworks show at the Corbin Arena that night. We now know the inductees to the 2022 Kentucky Recovery Hall of Fame. Former governors Steve Beshear and Ernie Fletcher are recipients of the Congressman Hal Rogers Award. It recognizes politicians who have advocated for legislation and public policies to address the addiction crisis. Mike Berry is the recipient of the Jay Davidson Award, which recognizes a person in recovery. And finally, DV8 Kitchen in Lexington is the Kentucky Recovery Hall of Fame's inaugural Employer of the Year. It recognizes a business that has championed second chance employment and helped to reduce stigma around recovery in the workplace. Yesterday, state representatives, community members, and the friends and family of the late Pulaski County Sheriff Sam Catron gathered in Pulaski County for a special dedication. WYMT's Alyssa Williams learned more about how friends and family chose to honor Catron's memory.
This bridge on Kentucky Highway 80 holds more significance to the people of Pulaski County than it ever has before.
Some people have never, they'll say, well, you know, they don't recognize the name, but a lot of people anymore with your internet or your computers and all, they go back and look that up and see who that was.
The bridge's namesake, Pulaski County Sheriff Sam Catron, was killed 20 years ago outside the Shopville Staff Volunteer Fire Department. And on Wednesday, community members and Catron's loved ones gathered there to help honor his memory.
He wanted to serve the people of Pulaski County to the best of his ability, and he gave his life doing it.
The Sheriff Sam Catron Memorial Bridge is located close to the fire station where the dedication took place, an area that Catron traveled through often while on duty.
He was truly a servant, and the people of Pulaski County came out in droves when he passed away, and he received support throughout his life and tragically in his passing as well. But I'm just glad to be able to be a part of this.
Catron's brother, Lewis, says although he is thankful for the support him and his family have received for the dedication, he feels as though Sam might have had a different reaction.
He'd be looking down on us, rolling them eyes, saying, what's the fuss about?
Catron adds that he is grateful his brother's legacy can live on in this way.
He was just a great all-around person, and, you know, a lot of people thought the world of him, and, you know, and it's just a good way to honor him and what he did.
Creating a space that is more than just a bridge, but a way for Sheriff Sam Catron's name to live on for many years to come. In Pulaski County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
This memorial bridge marks the second thing dedicated in Catron's honor, with the first memorial located in front of the fire station where Sheriff Catron was killed. The Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter in Hazard is experiencing an overbearing amount of animals being dropped off. Employees say they've run out of room to house any more strays, but animals are still showing up. On Tuesday, there were 25 animals dropped off at the shelter, and before the gates even opened yesterday, there was already 10 more. And if the drop-offs continue, the shelter will have to euthanize animals. Shelter manager Allie Mullins says pet owners can help this issue in the future by spaying or neutering their own pets.
We'll help in any way we can, but just please spay and neuter your animals because there's no homes in this area.
Mullins adds that they're always looking for foster families for pets, and people that do foster will have food and other supplies provided for them by the shelter.
6:10 on the money this morning. We head on over to Southwest Virginia to our high knob camera at UVA Wise. Hopefully it'll stay on long enough for me to talk about it, but a beautiful sky with just a few clouds over there this morning. 64 in Southwest Virginia. That includes Wise and Clintwood. 72 in Jonesville, 73 in Somerset, 70 in Jacksboro. Everybody else, and London, forgot about London too. And then you see everybody else is in the mid to upper 60s there across the region this morning. 86 this afternoon. I do believe that'll get a little bit warmer because most of those clouds have already disappeared this morning. Let's call it 88 for now, maybe just a touch warmer than that, but sunshine will break out for all by this afternoon. If you're sending a little bit of cloud cover this morning, it will be gone before you know it. And as we head deeper into the forecast, we will stay dry and warm for now, but as we head into the weekend, some possibilities for some scattered storms come back into play, and a brief cool down looks likely next week behind a cold front. Keaton?
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up next, the committee investigating the January 6th Capitol breach prepares for yet another round of public hearings.